Hello everyone, my name is Anastasia and I'm glad to welcome you all on the practical session where we are going to apply advanced sugar configuration technique to overcome business challenge. So today we are going to save sales reps time by providing the possibility to focus only on leads who are reachable via provided email address. And for this, we will extend lead routing process in advanced workflow. Basically, we are going to add in this process several steps to send email address on validation and evaluate these validation results. So only leads who passed email verification results will be proceed to lead routing process. And for bring this to life, we will use several tools. First of all, we are going to use advanced workflow because their lead routing process is designed. Then we are going to use Never Bounce. This is a service for email verification, email addresses verification. And finally, we are going to use a logic builder with several extensions. It is a configuration tool for Sugar, and extensions serves to access logic builder from advanced workflow environment. Basically, today we are going to perform 4 steps. First of all, we are going to create a service which will be called from advanced workflow to execute logic designed in logic builder. Then we will proceed to logic builder where we actually design a logic. And then we return to Sugar and adjust advanced workflow process. We will add a call service and then we add evaluation results from those services. And finally, we will take a look how all this works. So let's start. For this, I open Sugar and start with first step, which is creating a service. So service will be called from advanced workflow, and when this call happens, the logic that stands behind this service are going to execute. To create service, we proceeding to special module LB services, which was added by extension, and create a new record. So click and create LB service. First of all, we'll need to define a name for our service. For example, what our service is going to do is to verify email address. Let's name it in this way. So, verify email address. And add a system name in the same way like verify email. So we defined a name and now we are going to define arguments. Arguments is the way how we can pass some values from advanced workflow in logic from logic builder. For example, our service is going to send email address on verification. Basically, we need email address, so we need something to verify. But I know I prepared to webinar that I couldn't get email address from lead record from advanced workflow. So I decided to pass from advanced workflow to logic builder the lead ID. And then I will retrieve email address from this lead record in logic builder. And also we are going to evaluate result from verification service in advanced workflow. So we need to make a decision based on whether email address was valid or not, to pull lead further on lead routing process or not. And for this, we will need the second argument. When we need use something in gateways, because in gateways we are going to build a criteria, we are using a special argument with reserved name, and this reserved name called return. So return. So I put it here, and now we defined two arguments or parameters. The first one argument value will be passed from advanced workflow to logic builder, its lead ID, and the second one will be passed from logic builder back to advanced workflow, and this argument is return. We will save the record in order to finish creation. So the first step is done, and now we need to design a logic that will be stand behind this service. When advanced workflow call to this service, some logic should be executed, and now we need to design this logic. For this, I am going to Logic Builder, integrascrm.com, to actually design this logic. Here I introduce myself, and I can start design. First of all, I need to read metadata from Sugar here in Logic Builder. For this, I go to menu flowchart, and in import Sugar metadata section, I've already inputted URL to my Sugar instance, login and password from Sugar user. In this way, Logic Builder reads metadata from Sugar instance, what modules there are, what fields there are, and stuff like this. So we will be able to work with particular instance here in Logic Builder. We already connected, and we can start to work. First of all, we need to define a start element. Basically, Logic Builder is a visual designer tool, so now we are going to visually describe our logic, sending email address to verification service, never bounce, to never bounce. And as a start element, when something is calling to service, in our particular example, when advanced workflow will call the service, we use operator on service call and put it onto canvas. So this is our very first element, the start of our logic. So when advanced workflow calls to service. Here we need to define which service we are going to describe, and this is verify email address, which we already created in Sugar. Next, we need to get email address. For this, firstly, we need to read ID of lead here in Logic Builder. For this, I need to get this ID from service. We created this ID as parameter of service. So now we need to get it from service actually. So we are looking for operator called get service parameters and put it onto canvas. It's empty now. I have nothing here because this operator currently do not know which service parameters we are looking for. Here we have an input port where we should specify the service. Where we can find it in previous operator where we defined what service, with which service we currently working. So I click here, get this service and input it here. And now in this drop down, I have all arguments or parameters which I defined in Sugar previously. And now we are looking for lead ID, so I select it from this drop down. Also, you may notice that there are white triangular shaped ports, and they aimed to connect operators between each other to define an order of this operator's execution. It's some kind of backbone of logic. So firstly, our start operator on service call, and then we want to get value in parameter lead ID. So I define it by linking this operator between each other. Now we get ID of our lead. and we are looking for its email address. For this, we firstly need to retrieve the whole ID entity. For this, for retrieving entity, I use operator with the same name, retrieve entity, and put it onto canvas. I need to define which the module of which entity I'm looking for is leads. And here I will specify an ID of particular record that I'm looking for. I have lead ID here, so I input it in retrieve entity operator, and also connect this operator with previous one. So what we have now, we have a whole lead record with all its fields like name and so on. And now we need to get from this record the email address. I can do it in several ways, and the first one way is to get primary email via related entity. So I use now operator, retrieve related entities, put into canvas, specify that I'm looking entities related to my lead, and in link name there are all relationships with my leads module. And I'm looking for a relationship that is called email addresses primary. So here, by this relationship, I can get primary email address of my lead, and that is address that I'm looking for. Also, I do not forget to link operators between each other. So now let's take a look at here. We have several outputs here. You may notice that here there is square-shaped port and circle-shaped port. What is the difference? Circle means that we have only one item here. For example, entities number. Here we have the number of entities that were found by this relationship. For example, if I choose email addresses relationship, here I will have the number of all email addresses that are related to our lead. We know that there may be several email addresses for lead. For example, if there are 3 email addresses, I will have the number 3 here. And square shape means that there are several items there. So if I need to work with several entities or with several email addresses, I will use this port. But I know that by relationship email addresses primary, I will have only one entity, only one email address. And now, finally, to finish my email address searching, I need to get value from appropriate field from this entity. And when I want to get some value from field, I use get entity attributes operator and put it onto canvas. Define entity here and choose email address. And that's it. We completed searching of email address. Now we need to send a request to external verification service. I'm using Neverbounce. Let's navigate to it, neverbounce.com, and let's take a look at API documentation, because it is the way how we are going to send a request to this service. We have an verifying email, and let's take a look on it. We can create a post request and in URL specify all necessary parameters. We need to define an API key and we need to define an email that must be verified. So let's do this. Let's return to Logic Builder and scroll down through all operators which are located on the left side, and they are grouped by categories, and find category called REST. Here it is. So they are all operators which serves to create requests, and the main is called REST client, Let's put it into Canvas. And REST client is designed for sending HTTP requests to web server and following response processing. So what we need to choose here, first of all, method is post, what we get from documentation. And also we need to specify a URL provided in documentation. Again, let's return to neverbounce.com and let's take a look on this URL. So we see that this URL contains from some static values. For example, this part, which is always the same, contain one variable API key and contain variable for email address. So let's compose this URL in Logic Builder by combining several strings between each other. The first string will be this static part of URL. So let's just copy it and return to Logic Builder. To input some string constants, we are using operator called string and put it onto Canvas. And I'm just paste here the value that I've just copied. This is the part of the URL link. The next part of URL link that NeverBounce required is API key. So I'm put string operator onto Canvas, and here I need to define API key. Let me just copy it. Here it's under my fingertips. Yep. So I copied it. Okay. Let's again return to the documentation. We already composed this part of URL. And again, we have some static value. Let's again copy it here. And finally, here the final part of our URL with email address. Now we need to combine all these four operators into one to form the final URL. We can do this by using operator concatenate strings, and simply link all these operators, all these strings into one string, and the result of this concatenation we will put in URL. And that's it. We sent request to neverbounce.com and we provided all necessary values, including email address, which must be verified. And also we need to link operators between each other. Let's put it down here and this a little bit upper in this way. And also we can leave a comment here by selecting this group of operators, click right button on mouse and choose comment selected items. And let's comment like compose URL and save it. So what we've done, we sent a request, but it is not enough because we need to get a response. And for this, we have an output called response here. We need to convert this response to work with it. And again, let's return to NeverBounce documentation to see how what we have in response. Here is the example of this response. This is a JSON, and we are interested only in this particular part. So let's copy the name of this key result and return to Logic Builder. And now let's convert this response. To convert this JSON, we have operator getStructure. And here in JSON, we put response, which was returned from NeverBounce. And in scheme, we specify name what we are looking for. As I said, we are interested only in the result. So there is operator scheme, structure scheme, and we specify the name result here and input it in scheme. And also we do not forget to link operators between each other. We already have a result from the never bounce, and now we need to get back it to advanced workflow. And for this, we need to put this value into service, because the service is the way how advanced workflow may communicate with logic designed in Logic Builder. So when we want to set some parameters for service, we use operator set service parameters. Again, in drop down here we have nothing, because we need to specify for which service we want to set parameters. For this, let me scroll out a bit and return on the very beginning of our logic, where we defined this service. Here it is. So again, I pick up here service and link it here. And select parameter return. And now we need to input value of result in this parameter. Firstly, we need to extract this result from structure. So again, we use get structure fields here, specify from which structure we are looking for result, and input it in return. And also link operators between each other. So we are done. We design our logic. Let's just take a quick look what we have done just now, right now. So let's scroll back on the beginning. When advanced workflow will be called to this service, verify email address, we are going to extract ID to retrieve ID from advanced workflow. So advanced workflow will be passed lead ID here. And by this ID, we are going to find lead record with this ID. And from those lead record, we are looking for email address. We get this email address using a relationship. And then we are sending request to neverbounce.com with email address to verify whether this email address is valid or no. And we retrieve result from those verification service and put this result back into service, and then we will evaluate this result in advanced workflow. Let's save our logic for possible future changes or something else. Let's give it a name like email verification and save. We just build a visual presentation of our logic, and now we need to convert this logic into code which Sugar can understand. For this, I'm in Generate Sugar Package section, click Generate. And now I have a package which I can download through Module Loader in Sugar. So let's go to Sugar, to Admin section, navigate to Module Loader, and deploy this package. Upload, install, and commit. And now my package is deploying into this Sugar instance. By the way, while it's deploying, when you need to change something in your logic, so in Logic Builder, you load previously created flowchart, visual presentation of logic. You bring some changes here, add some operators, remove some operators, save for, again, save changes, and also, again, generate a Sugar package. And then return to Sugar. And as this logic was previously installed, firstly, you uninstall Sugar package, this package with previous version, and deploy the new one. So as we may see, the logic already deployed, and now we are going to step 3, is to extend advanced workflow process, lead routing process. For this, we go to process definitions, and open lead routing process. Go to designer. So this is basic lead routing process. And we are going to add here logic to send email address of new lead to verification service and evaluate results. We will do this on the beginning after new lead created. So before global territory assignment rule, we remove this line and add calling of email verification. For this, I add action, put it here, and select action type LB service call. Select it. And then I need to tune it. I go to settings, and in settings I select first of all what service I want to call here. We have only one, it's verify email address. And here in parameters section you see all parameters that we specified in appropriate record here in Sugar, in LB services record. And what we need to do, we need to pass value of lead ID to logic that will be executed by calling this service. How we can do this? We mark lead ID and here press here and find appropriate field from lead. So let's scroll down and find an ID. Yes, here we have an ID. If we have a possibility to pass email address, it will be quite easier, but we do not have address here, so we are going to use lead ID. And return, this is parameters that we are going to read here in advanced workflow. So I leave it empty and save record, save these settings. So we, after lead is created, we call email verification. Let's name it like email verification. And then we need to split process and proceed to lead routing only those leads who passed verification here. And we need to add a gateway for this. So what after verification, we go to evaluation and we will have two branches here. The first one will be proceed to lead routing process here, and the second one will be not to send this lead to lead routing process, but for example, let's change for example status. We use standard change field action, and in settings let's specify that we need to update status. Status, here it is. Let's say we want to set status for this lead, for example recycle. So link the second branch, and here we will end our process. And now we need to return to gateway and tune it. We go firstly, let's specify default flow like global territory assignment, and also in settings we will add evaluation criteria to update lead status and not pull it into lead routing. So here is a new evaluation section called LB service call evaluation. Let's open it. And here in first part we need to select result from which service we are going to evaluate. We have only one here. Here it is email verification. So we just leave it as this, leave it as it. And then we need to build a criteria. So we will end the process, update lead status, and end the process only when response from email verification is not equal to valid. Add it and close and save. And let's give a name like evaluate result. So this is the place where we evaluate value in return parameters that we define in service. So actually we done with design with extend our lead routing process, and let's take a look how it works. Let's create a new lead and let's define some values like this. And for first example, let's choose some bad email, for example test gmail.com, and save record. And okay, what I forgot to done it's enable this process because it's now disabled, so it won't work at all. Let's enable it firstly. Enable. And again, let's create a new one, lead, to see how it works. Let's copy just that we created one. Let's choose copy and save. And okay, let it be duplicates. And also, and to see how this process works, let's go to the processes module. And in process management, we see that for this lead routing process is completed. And let's take a look what was performed. So we see that process comes to the our newly added branch, where we just update lead status and our process, because test.gmail.com is not actually a verified email address, so we didn't put this lead to the lead routing process. And we may take a look at lead status, and we will see that it is recycled. And for the second check, let's create a lead with OK email address, like this. Put name and last name, and let's choose some email which pass verification, for example this one, and save record. And again, let's go to the processes and see what we have for this lead. As you may see, this lead routing process is in progress because, let's take a look, because we passed evaluation test. This email was returned as valid email from Never Bounce, and this lead was passed to the lead routing process by logic that defined here. So actually that is how it works. And let me return to my PowerPoint. Not this, sorry, this one. So this is how automation can help sales rep to save their time, because they will focus only on permanently reachable leads only. And also that is how Sugar admins could benefit extended BPM config by leveraging advanced workflow with Logic Builder for Sugar. I hope that configuration practice that we see today brings you an idea regarding addressing the business challenge you face, and I would happy to answer the questions whether the config approach is applicable to overcome your challenge. So please do not hesitate to contact me. Email addresses you currently see on the screen. Thank you all for watching. Have a good day, and I hope to see you soon.